What's up? Hey, move my mic up. Hopefully it sounds okay. I might get a little bit too close to it. But it's like, it feels better this way. It's out of my way. I can make hand gestures and gang signs without bonking you guys in the head. And it, for the most part, it's out of my view range. Yeah, it does look bad. I mean, I kind of wish it was out of the scene, but I need it to be somewhat close. I don't know. Whatever. I didn't listen back to the first VOD either, so I don't know if audio was okay. But we now have we have chat overlay. We have followers up there too. I think I could. Yeah, it's fine. Something's in a bad place. We can move it. Let me close out my remote desktop here. Wasting unnecessary CPU power on that. I just doxed you. I just doxed my own questionable music tastes. That's gonna haunt me. And my Discord. I doxed my Discord. That's okay too. Yeah, we got a display cable to go to our accurate monitor, so this is now my primary monitor, which is good, right in front of me. We're okay. We're okay. Things are good. Not gonna be a super long stream today, but we're gonna put in a few hours. Try to. How was everybody today? Feeling good? Very nice. I posted on LinkedIn about our ethics again. You know that we you're ill? With what? Yeah, I just posted about our ethics and somebody's like, I like you guys already. Great. Very nice. Look, it's gonna be the hardest thing about these ethics is maintaining them. You know, actually following them. But I don't think we're gonna have a problem with that. I'm a very principled person. It is kind of sad that just not being greedy is an easy way to market in 2023. That is weird. I'm gonna move you guys. I'm gonna move chat here. That way it feels like I'm actually looking at you head on, even if I'm not looking down at you. Somebody needs to invent a monitor where the camera is right in the center. That way I can always be looking, always be staring. Old documentary about creative assembly. I heard there was a documentary too about Gollum development. I think there needs to be one for the King Kong game. Is that on Steam? Did you hear those bubbles? I don't know if you guys heard those bubbles. I don't see King Kong. I see For the King too. I'm gonna play that. One.
The major problem.
The Total War's Total Decline Developer Expose. I see Shogun 2 here. Shogun 2. There's some leaked developer. Current and former Creative Assembly developers themselves. This is pretty recent. Yesterday. I gotta switch my date and time to American style. I don't like it. Where is it? I know you guys can hate me for this, but I need the better. October 23rd. I'll have to watch this. You know what? I'm gonna add this to later. Wait, is this the right account? I don't think this is the one. Well, let me switch my Gmail. Let me switch over to the Microraptor account, actually. I don't know why it's not on here. Shit, I don't know my password. Be fucking long. I might have to switch scenes for a second while I put this password in. Okay, it's not too bad. I can just copy it. Let me read it out to you guys, just so if I you know, forget what I'm typing, you can read back my password. I'm gonna like start cultivating a watch later playlist on YouTube so that we can do some reactions to that. Let me pull it up on this. Watch later, where is it? What is it? How do I do that? Wait, save, watch later, okay. Perfect. Raising the price, they're doubling the price of their DLC with same content. If you don't buy, we will stop supporting Total War. Okay. The thing is, people are still gonna buy them because the Total War franchise is just, it's unrivaled. Sadly. I'm probably gonna buy this game For the King 2. I really like the first one. And play it on stream. However, the same day that this comes out, Talos Principle 2 comes out. Which I kind of want to play as well. Published by the gods over at Devolver Digital. Like usual. Should go into the bathroom before I started this stream. Oops. Let's do some shit today. We're going to plan out the alchemy system. We're going to compare alchemy systems in other games. We're going to define what our alchemy needs to accomplish, the emotions that we want the player to feel, the goals that the player is going to have with this, and generally how I see it, and how if you guys think that it looks shit or if you guys think that it looks okay. And then we can just pretty much, you know, we're going to keep it very minimally documented, but we want to have some plan of what we're going to go into the prototype to do. And knowing some of that in the back end will help me with not just building upon shitty prototype foundations. But I do think that this is one of the most important aspects of this game is the alchemy, and that if it's not good, it really shouldn't be an alchemy game. You know, you don't go into Call of Duty and you make shitty gunplay, right? So that's our plan for today. But like I said, I won't be streaming forever, and I'll have to go. I don't know. We can do a few hours. We can do a few hours. Let's pull up some shit we need. Let's go to Draw.io for some free. Give it to Google Drive. Authorize Google Drive. Use this one. Okay, two-factor, yes. All right. Okay, continue. Okay, we're good. New diagram. By the way, how's the music for you guys? Is it too much? Too little? How was it? Cables back here. It should be barely audible in the background. My voice should be very recognizable compared to it. Alchemy system proto. Yes, put it in root folder for now, I don't care. I want to turn off the dark. I mean, I like the dark to some extent, but it's a little blinding. We'll manage. We'll be okay. Okay, so to cover kind of what we went over on Friday, because it has been the weekend. Hope you guys had a good weekend, by the way. Our potions are going to take generally two routes. You have the kind of Elder Scrolls route where they have individual effects, and when you combine ingredients freely with other effects that match, anything that matches will be put into the final result, and this can be positive or negative. So you can have a potion of healing with negative effects. You can have a poison with positive effects if you want. I don't really know why you would want to, but it can happen. The second thing that I would like to have is flavor. That every ingredient and every variant of ingredient, because you can, dry herbs, ferment mushrooms, shit like that, will have its own flavor as well. And the resultant potion, its flavor is based off of the flavors of ingredients that you put in there. So if you put a lot of bitter stuff in there, you have a bitter potion. Some people don't want bitter potions, they want something sweeter or more neutral, something like lightly flavored water, or maybe they want something, more sweeter. Maybe they want something bitter. Maybe it's a poison, maybe they don't want any taste at all. There could be some fun ways to play with flavor in that way. And you get ingredients from two main sources. So we're going to start off with our sources. By the way, if this is it's probably too small. Let me zoom in. Okay. We'll worry about colors later. We're just going to try to hook things up bare bones right now. First thing, we have our open world. Second thing is we have farming. And this is more of a secondary source of ingredients. The open world has two things. It has ingredients, or let's just say like flora and fauna. And this would be, things like hunting or fauna / like monsters, let's call it. Just to have it make sense here. triggering me. Okay. Okay. Bush. And farming provides, you know, let's switch these. There we go. Farming provides flora. And these then go into your cauldron. To make a potion. Or, as we've discussed, maybe you can make actual food as well. That can be for like healing and buffing, or we've talked about the aspect of providing NPCs with food as well as potions if they're going to. So you're more of like a, you're not really an inn, but you provide a lot of different kind of services along the road. But the food aspect might be ditched, or at least providing food to NPCs might be ditched. But we'll see. You know, we're gonna go into it assuming that this is what we want to do, and if later we realize that it's just negatively impacting the core loop without providing much benefit or interest to the player, then we'll just scrap it. Okay, open world farming, tried flora and fauna monster. You know, we should put like monster fauna. I don't like that because it has it, but they're providing parts. So let's just do like animal monster parts. Okay, looks good. And these each have effects and flavors. No, I'm using British spelling. Effects and flavors for flora as well. Cauldron potion food will then have effects and flavors as well. These can then either be used in... I don't like this. This is not centered. It's triggering me. Okay, potion and food can then be used by player. They can be given to NPCs. I'm calling them like quests for now, but it's more like they're more like requests. They're more like you're fulfilling their... I don't know, let's see if there's some synonyms for this. It's very much more like a request. Requisition. So let's call them requisitions. I prefer that. You can use by player, given to NPCs for requisitions, sold to NPCs. I'm gonna say like merchant, but maybe like just because it's requisition, let's call this like mercantile. These are the general 3 uses of potions and food. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like the It's just trying to trigger me on purpose. That equidistant. There we go. Okay, perfect. And used by player is generally going to, you know, it doesn't give you anything, but these can then feed back. I will say that these give rewards in gold and or ingredients, let's just say. This is just going to be rewards gold. I don't really see a desire to like barter NPCs, but that could change. It could change. Let's put one here too. Let's just put it for buffs, healing. Yeah, good. So this is kind of like the chain of goods, both via the open world and like player production, so to speak. Just made it worse. So yeah, I don't know what you guys think of that. Pretty simple chain, of course. You know, it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. But having it on paper gives us a good reminder of what is supposed to lead to what. X leads to Y, and of course you get parts in the open world. You take them to your cauldron, you brew a potion, or you make food, and you can then do a variety of things with those goods, either by using them yourself to help aid in open world discovery and exploration and combat or the activities, or to obtain other things from the individuals that you meet. Specifically, you know, you have interaction with yourself in the open world here, or over here you have interaction with the NPC system. Now let us get a kind of a let's mock up kind of the UI for how an ingredient looks, and this is a good way to demonstrate visually how we see an ingredient being presented to the player. You know, it's just, okay, you understand that you're going to be picking flour, but how do I know what ingredients it has, or how do I know what effects it has? Do I see if it has value? Do I see anything in addition? Do I see its name? Do I have to like identify it first somewhere? And I think that these are all good questions to ask at this phase, mainly because, you know, if you're putting a potion into your cauldron, or if you're putting ingredients into your cauldron and you don't know the effects yet, then you don't know what the resulting potion is going to be. You can make a terrible poison and then just drink it and die. I imagine that happened in history, for sure. Let's see. Let's find like a generic. Let's just use like an herb or something like mint, like some mint, or maybe something with some flavor to it that we can use as a good mock-up of flavor profile, like something that is naturally very sweet, or something that's naturally very bitter, maybe like an apple or something. I don't know. Who knows? The world is our oyster. I don't like oysters. I think it's more meant to, like, the world's your oyster. There's pearls inside of it. You have to break open the world and find the pearls. But really, that's like, yeah, but it also has meat. But if the world doesn't have tasty meat, then I don't want to eat the world. So it's like, why can't the world be like a chicken? Like, I like chicken. It can be fried rice. I like fried rice. The world is not fried rice, sadly. Let's think of something. Let's think of like our flavor profiles. Like what flavors are things going to be? Maybe maybe it's more like binary, and you have what's the word I'm looking for? It's you have a scale along two binary words, and something is either somewhere in the middle, so it's not, maybe it's not a savory, maybe it's not a sweet, it lies in the middle. So we need to find like 3 good flavors and then the opposite of those flavors. So maybe there's sweet, and then there's like bitter. I think somewhere I had a mock-up. Let me see if I can find it. Get some crazy stuff in here. I feel like sweetness, bitterness, and sourness. I don't know how that would work though. Sweet. It's on like. I think you could do something like a. Let me see here. Let's look some paint. Let's get some paint going. If we have like these three things, like sweetness, bitterness, sourness. Maybe we can do something where we have like pluses for the amount, some way to discern, and maybe it's like super sweet, but it's a little bit bitter, and like mildly sour, or just it has not applicable or something, and it's neutral on the sourness scale. I don't know what you guys think. Maybe something like that could work. We can also do like tags, so it can be tagged with being sweet. So like an apple would be tagged with sweet, and tart maybe. Flavors are so weird to me. Like, I don't know what the opposite of sweet is. It's just, it would be not sweet. Like, to some extent, maybe tags would simplify it more. And if you just have two, it's like if we want a potion to be sour, but we have it sweet, we need to remove the sourness somehow. There has to be some way to remove that. Or if we process an ingredient, we have to go from one to another. I like the idea of it being like a scale of some sort. It doesn't have to be represented like this. It can also just be like a, you know, like a progress kind of thing where you have green on one. I don't know why green would be on the left, but green, and then you have like red and shit, and then you have some arrow pointing to where it is. I mean that's kind of just represented by this though, in a way. You have your pluses over on the green and your minuses over on the left. And the scale system to me is more, it's more attractive of a choice because it allows you to specify ingredient quantity. So if you put a lot of sour shit in, but you want to get rid of the sourness, you'd have to apply more than usual, like more sugar than usual to even it out, as opposed to something that was neutral, like water, and then adding some. Yeah, I like that. I like that because you start with water, it's neutral. You add something in and it's going to change it. It's going to move, this left to right, or it's going to be adding these kind of indicators. And then you can have, for instance, like an NPC who prefers something within a certain range. They prefer it within this range. Okay, so you gotta get your sweetness up. You can add some more. You can add some sugar to it. I like that. I like that aspect of it. And I think this representation is just kind of meh. I preferred this where we have like that scale, that green to red, or something like that. I think we can mock it up here too. With something's rounded. Did I adjust the amount of rounding? The arc size? I think so. Okay, let's make this big because then it'll be just easier to manage and zoom in and out of, right? I think we still need to determine which. Don't paste it in. Why? Don't do this. Bad. How do I make it not do that? I don't like that. Put it here. Okay. No, not you. So we want it represented by this, but we need to choose like the flavors that we want to track and what are our synonyms and antonyms? What are our 0 and 1? Or do we just track certain flavors individually I don't think we should do more than 5 if we do it in that way, because I think that would then just be... It would be overcomplicating the flavor aspect. It would be putting too much emphasis on the flavor that it becomes a huge... It would just dominate the screen, I think. And I would rather put more emphasis on effects. Not by a huge factor, but just by a factor. The only difficulty with this, well, I mean, I'm sure there's many, but one difficulty with this is that if we want to include some like really obvious family of ingredients, let's just use herbs as an example, but we don't have a flavor that is a really good match, then we won't be able to apply any flavor at all. And generally, how do you describe the flavor of eating an herb? You know, they have individual flavors. You know, if you eat a mint leaf, it just tastes like mint and a leaf, and that's not really a flavor. Granted, that could also just be like it could just be an ingredient with neutral flavoring. And mostly it's, yeah, but it's like if you use mint, if you use most herbs in a potion, it's going to taste like that. You make a mojito because it tastes like mint. And rum. Like, how do we separate that? How do we... It would be weird if you could just add a bunch of mint to a potion and it would have no effect. That wouldn't be very believable. I can think of ways to make it more complex, to make the system more complex that solve the problem. But I would like to stay away from making something more complex just to solve a problem. The system itself should be deep, but not necessarily difficult to learn. Which is generally the challenge of good game design. It's not hard to make something work if you don't care about the user experience. And there are so many games that are great examples of it. Like, yeah, the game's kind of good, but the user experience is so shit that the learning curve is massive, and the frustration, it's off the charts. There's a lot of strategy games like that because they want to have these really deep, complex systems, and they do, but at the same time they alienate their player bases because the new players are just so overwhelmed trying to get into them. Yeah, this is a conundrum. This is definitely a wall that we need to traverse. Effects are easy, and I think that the idea of just taking Elder Scrolls, putting it on steroids, at least for the first iteration of effects, it works. It works. It's already a tested system. The reason that this is going to be such a problem is because no game is really, that I know of, has attempted to approach flavor like this. I could be wrong. Let's see if there are any games. Let's check. Let me get on ChatGPT, and we're gonna use some AI to help us here. As using it as essentially a glorified Google is pretty useful. And we don't necessarily need a modern game. We can get away with older games. Okay. I want to use this. I don't want to. It's not liking that I already have an account. And let me log in with my regular account then. And I'll hide my history so you don't see me having used ChatGPT when I'm drunk. Ask it to do silly things. Okay, let's see. Let's just ask it, are there any video games that use like ingredient, food, flavor as a main aspect for cooking or alchemy. Let's start with that. Yeah, but this is just like crafting or an alchemy, and the quality of ingredients, sure. I do have to look at it. We are going to play Dragon's Dogma 2 for sure. But I don't think that any of these take the flavoring into account. It's mostly about what you're making. But what about flavor specifically? These games generally have systems for cooking and alchemy. Don't any sort of flavor profile as a core aspect of the Yeah, that's the issue. It's like if there are niche and indie games that do this well that we could try to learn from, it's gonna be really hard to find them. Well, as I always try to say, depth through simplicity. We should find a way that can handle this in a very simple way, and I think going Making it simple but enjoyable would be much more preferable than making it deep and complex. I would rather stay away from making the player have to read like a wiki or waste too much time making a potion. Or at least waste too much time thinking about the flavor of a potion as opposed to its effects. If trying to get the right flavor is taking more time than actually making the proper potion, I think that is not a successful system. And it's not about alchemy, it's about flavor. You know, I think that sweetness, bitterness, and sourness can generally cover. I don't know if there's a lot that wouldn't cover. I mean, you could even say that like one leaf is itself kind of bitter. Like eating plants is kind of bitter. They're not that great. I'm not a vegan, but I am biased. I just think plants are generally not that tasty. Maybe there can be two things. Maybe we can do sweetness, bitterness, sourness scale. And tags for flavoring. And the tags would cover a lot of niche cases, or they're there to add a bit more depth and value. So some guy might come in and say, "Oh, yeah, I need this potion of healing. Can you make it a little bit sweet?" Then I really like that slight mint taste. So you throw in, some mint leaves. You know, you balance out the sourness and the bitterness, or you keep them relatively near neutral, right? Because if we have this in the middle of this is neutral, it is not very well represented due to the coloring. Oh, nope. Trying to keep it within this range is generally preferable. It won't negatively impact your score with them or something. And then below. So if we have like the sweetness, bitterness, sourness scales down here or something. I'm gonna do half and half. How would I? Put one of these here. Thinking too much. Mock up. Let's make this more simple. Don't overthink it. They don't need to be rounded. You just need to be functional. You know what? Doing that. from that. Okay, looks good. Pretty good. Sweetness. Let's center these. That's really rude. Okay, sweetness, bitterness, sourness. Good. I guess I'm so good at art. Jesus. I don't really like the usage of red and green here because it's not like low sweetness is bad. Some people might be fine with that. Like if it's between dying and drinking something that tastes kind of bad, I'm just gonna drink the thing that tastes bad. Simple. Okay, and then down here we can have our, I'm gonna group these. Let's lock this background actually. We can have like tags, right? And maybe adding like certain ingredients, like I mentioned, certain herbs have overwhelming flavors. And some people might like that, you know, adding that into it. Or some ingredients may have, well, I mean, like if you add an herb because it has good effects, like maybe mint boosts mana regen. And it's prevalent, it's easy to grow, but it's gonna add that minty flavor and you wanna get rid of that. You know, you need to add an ingredient that removes that tag or just nullifies certain tags. I'm sorry guys, I'm fucking tired. I did a lot of walking today and it's kind of late. Like I woke up at 8. So I'm more of like an midday person. Don't hit me up around morning. Don't hit me up late at night. But midday, let's pop off. Okay, so tags we can have down here, you know, they can be whatever. Like tag 1. Can you just like center? No. No, okay. Whatever. There's that part of me that just needs it to be even and looking good, but it really doesn't. I just have to work against that aspect of myself. Okay, so now like, how do we want to format some of the other things? Do we want to show the ingredient, the effects? How do we do that? Maybe like some spacer. Hold on, I might have to sneeze. Sorry, guys. Hope that wasn't too loud. Peace. Maybe we can have like a icon for the ingredients. Have big boy name. Planticus. Graticus. That's the Latin name for our plant here. Actually, I feel like the street name should be like a great plant. Well, that's just English, and this is more like smaller Latin name for it. Yeah, I prefer that. Looks better. Flavor. Guys, I don't know how to feel about this music right now. Is it just me, or is it like a little bit between a mix between like porn music and horror? I don't know how to put it. But it's unnerving. Don't know if I should be scared or aroused. I'm telling you, this is porn horror music. Okay. Effects. I feel like these should be in bold. Okay, we'll have like known effect name. Come on, I need to grab you. You want to be grabbed? Let me stretch you. Okay. I'm just gonna put like a placeholder. Restore health. 1, 2. Otherwise it looks just like restore health I. Makes more sense. But then, you know, there's other effects. There may not be 4 effects. Big triangle. Bad. Maybe for the tags we can have it so that like if it's a green tag it adds the tag. If it's red it removes. We got to think about that system. I think the flavor system just needs more thought. Oh, can't build everything in a day. That's just how it is. Great, not Greta. Please no Greta. Nice. I need the lorem ipsum text. Just for... No, I don't. I'm just gonna copy pasta this. I feel like it'd be nice too to have like either icons or some text denoting what the ingredient is. Icons would be nice just for the visual aspect of it. Let me get a plant image as well here to throw in just for. This works. No. Oh, I paste an image into here. Can I even put images into Okay. That's weird. I don't know why it wasn't pasting initially. Just delete this thing. Or good. Good. I we need emotes. I think we need to reach affiliate before we have emotes, though. Not sure about that. Yeah, I think I would prefer to have icons denoting the type plant it is, or the type of ingredient, I should say. Granted, I think we could probably fit it all into one. We could probably fit the Latin name and the type on one line. I'd probably just go like Atlanticus Graticus, herb. Again, this does not need to be looking great, it just needs to be primarily functional. But here, I'll pitch something here. I'll pitch something. Let's do. I'm gonna do something like this. I'm gonna do this. That'd be pretty fucking cool to have like. Kind of suck. Can never find the right icon when I need it. Hold on, icon, seed. What do they use for it? I don't buy seeds. I don't know what the fuck I'm looking. I don't know plants, I just know meat. I saw one. It was like, oh wait, no, it does tell you. It doesn't really talk about like watering though, does it? But maybe like region too. Like maybe we can put region, the region that you found it in. Maybe there are multiple regions. Sounds pretty good. I kind of like that. Yeah, you like found it in the forest region or some shit. Like it feels like an ingredient. It feels like it has some use. You got your effects, you got your flavor. Get out of your little lens. So this is like, okay, we have structure, ingredient. I wonder if you could do like one structure for all ingredients, if that would include. Because would there be any difference in this with? I guess if it's like an animal part, we wouldn't include this stuff. So you could hide those elements in Unreal. But everything else is relevant. I think it's good. I think it's a good start. I think we can work with that. But certainly when we start prototyping, we need to determine what actually happens if you don't have all these effects discovered on an ingredient. Well, I guess we just for each through the ingredients, we see if the players, we run a check if the player has discovered it, which would be the same thing that we do to display the panel in the first place. And then if the player hasn't discovered that aspect on either of the ingredients, then we just won't display that the combination is there. Kind of like an unknown effects kind of thing. It should be easy. This should be really easy to prototype. So let's open up Notepad here and let's write down what we think this structure is going to be. Hey, ingredient structure. We will have name. Will be a F name in Unreal. Latin name. Because we're going to be looking these up via a you can call name ID. Because we'll be looking up the ID from another data table, and this way, if we ever, this is the safest option, because if you put into your game, like great plant, right? If you ever change the name of that, without having it linked to an ID of some sort, something that isn't going to change, right? Or you try to localize it, then you're creating different items actually, rather than just having the same item, the same ID, but changing around its data. Or if you ever rebalance something, you can go through the list of the player's inventory, and balance changes are going to be very safe to make, because they're not going to be the players. Let me back up. the player save game isn't going to be saving the entire structure of these ingredients, right? The only thing the save game saves, let's just say, save game, you have a bunch of data and shit, right? But your ingredients is an array. It's going to be an array of ingredients. And you're going to want to store a structure of ingredient ID, ingredient amount. Why do we do this? Because you have all this data here, bunch of it. It's going to be a bunch of IDs, it's going to be numbers and bullshit. You don't want to store all that. It's a waste of space in the player save game, and it just leads to save bloat. But more than that, if you ever balance that thing, you'd have to run a script that goes through the player's inventory and modifies the data through it, which is like a really easy way to corrupt saves, because inevitably something's going to go wrong. It's really unnecessary computational waste. Rather, the best way is to save just the ID and an amount, and let your UI, let your scripts, let everything else pull based on that ID, because then you can change the data in the back end. You can rebalance something, and the moment that player starts up that new balance patch, nothing has to be done to their save game, because their save game just holds an ID that doesn't change and the amount of the ingredient that they own. You always want to make sure that you're optimizing your save games, because it's easier to debug, it's just more stable, and it prevents you from having save games the size of the average 50-year-old's single person's porn server or something. I'm out of water. And I woke up today with a sore throat. Not great. But we have Pepsi. And that's great for sore throats. Okay, so we want to save the IDs, because it's going to look, great _ plant. We're going to, probably make it look more interesting. So we can have like okay, let's do that. Let's pull up a new one. Let's throw it on. Okay. Why is this not the same zoom level? How do I see what the zoom level is? I don't. Hold on, wait, I can reset it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 5, 6. Okay. They're equal. Look at the bird. Look at my bird. Look at my Microraptor. I'm thinking of naming the Microraptor Riley. I think it's a pretty cute name, and it's very androgynous, like you can envision it as a male or female Microraptor based on Riley, I think. And it has the alliteration, Riley the Raptor. I'm thinking of paying somebody to make a prototype plushie. I kind of want a plushie of Riley the Raptor. Okay, so over here we can have like examples of what this is going to look like. So we can have like ingredient, great plant, because that's what we're doing. We're kind of having this. It's great plant example. And we can do, because it's a regular name, we can do name, then ingredient, great, plant, Latin. And I do this mainly because it helps me to visualize the data, and then I can make the data in a spreadsheet much easier this way because I can just kind of copy the structure, and that way when we are testing things out, we can work with, you know, somebody who can make a plushie? I need a 3D model of this thing first, but I imagine it just being some kind of like, you know, it's supposed to be cute, so it can't have realistically large limbs and large wings, right? It's gotta be a little plump in the center. It's gotta have, you know, wings that if you sat the raptor down, the wings probably wouldn't go past the ground. But I need like a 3D model of it or something, or at least like an illustration. I could probably get an AI. Actually, I do have Midjourney. You want to try to do it? You want to try to mess with Midjourney? I have it on the side here because I have their DMs open. I don't want to dox anyone. Or accidentally click on something and show you all the nasty conversations I have with people. Nobody wants that. Cute micro raptor dinosaur plushie. Low beak. And blue feathers. Smiling. Illustration. Let's see what horrors it produces over on the side there. Okay, I'll show you guys. I'll pull it up when it's ready. It shouldn't take too long. Okay, let's do description ID because we want to. Anything that is presented as text here, we want to link with an ID of some sort. IDs are great because it's very easy to change. It's very minimal data to be stored. God, it's almost done. It's not terrible. It is cute. It isn't exactly as I imagine it, but it also is not bad. I mean, this one's pretty great. I really like the back feathers. These are all pretty cool in their own way. Something to work off of. Something like that. But I need something with that red too. I just don't know how to describe it like that red. So I want all three colors in there. Maybe I'll just copy. We'll try another one. Imagine with blue and sunset red feathers. Yeah, they're all safe, thankfully. So because they're linked to an account on Midjourney, so I can go back and see everything that I've produced before. Okay. Description ID, I mean, same thing. The really important thing is just to have schemas, whatever the fuck. To have a format for the way that you are setting up your IDs so that they'll make sense and they kind of explain themselves, because when translators look at this, of course, localizers, they need to be able to pull information from this context. Is what they call it. What anybody with a brain calls it, to be honest. But they pull the context from this and from anything that you said, so making it easier for them to see, okay, anything that starts with ing is an ingredient. And this is the name of it that we give it internally, which may or may not actually end up being the text for this ID. And then there's the name, the Latin name, the description. Nice and easy. And that will be an F name as well, because it's an. So these are kind of cute too. I kind of want the wings to be the arms of the plushie. Did Microraptors have front? They weren't like dragons. They probably had. I don't know. Because this is, I mean, they're some of the illustrations of them are kind of ugly. But, it's more like they have these two sets of wings, these back leg wings, which I think are really cool. I just have to work with an artist to like actually get a couple illustrations of this made and then into an actual image or into an actual 3D model or something. I mean, this crochet is actually pretty cool, but it needs to be something. It needs to be something cute. It needs to be something that you could like, you know. It's got to have that smile. It really has to have that smile. But I like the colors of these a lot. So that would be really cool to have made, but it's a little expensive. It's outside of my price range right now. Okay, back to work. We need type, but I think some of that could be housed in effects, flavor, and tags are going to be arrays, and we can store that within a structure because every ingredient is going to have that. We can also actually put these in a structure too, like ingredient info structure. I always forget the best way to format that. I think I have it somewhere. Yeah, let's get rid of the ingredient info structure. Just do ingredient info. And this is a normal struct. The proper way to format to display the structure wouldn't be, hold on. Okay, it is with brackets. Yeah. We'll do ingredient info here. We'll tab these over. Let's call it ingredient display. Because then we'll have ingredient info here. And this will house the... This is also used to, like, the brackets are also used for arrays, right? No, they use the square bracket. No judging. Yeah. No judging. Okay, well actually we don't need we wouldn't probably use any arrays in the ingredient structure anyway. Good. Oh, I was trying to fix this. I don't know why. Don't know why I was trying to do it. Okay, ingredient display. We also want the icon. Yeah. That will be a texture 2D. That? Yeah, texture 2D. Sorry, just thinking of something. Yeah, that should be fine. That should be fine. Ingredient info, we have ingredient type. Gonna be an enum. The enum is safe here. Granted, the only scary thing about enum is saving the. If you ever modify the positions of the list items, it could affect negatively. We forgot one thing. We want to include the state of the herb. The state of the ingredient. Yeah, so let's do this. Let's do 18. Yeah, let's do 18 here. Herb. Do dried to show. Because I think if we just do herb dash normal, it doesn't really display what the point of the text is. Let's remove this here and put this back. That way it's like segregated. You have like info just for reading, info here to kind of give you what it is, where you find it. Then you have effects, flavor, and tags. Delivery factors that make ingredients unstable, either usable or problematic. What do you mean by that? Describe that more. While I check if I have enough oil in my diffuser. No, I don't. don't spray water everywhere. Yeah, I'm using eucalyptus and lemon oil. Should be good for the winter, that's why I got it. Then I have some sandalwood for when I need to relax and put on the mood when we play sexy games with the pretty ladies. Okay, ingredient type enum, that looks good. And like ingredient, like not like subtype, but ingredient state. In enum too. Do like ingredient biomes, which will actually be an array of biome ID, I guess, and that'll just be an enum. No, we'll just do biome type. Biome type is maybe they're moldy or infested or enchanted or something else. Anything. Maybe the user doesn't even know. The altered state could make a positive or negative difference. Don't know yet. Like for sure, there will be states of ingredients that you influence. So if you go out and you pick a mushroom, you can then do certain things with it to change its state, and that changes its effects, flavor, things of that nature. So like fermenting a mushroom may make it a lot more bitter, and it could also change the effects. So maybe it in this case, if we dry this herb, it bolsters its restore health properties, but it removes one of its other properties, which could be good or bad depending on what potion you're trying to make. But it will also make it more bitter. If you ferment an apple, you lose a lot of its sweetness. It becomes more sour. And then, of course, if you have that, you don't have a very sweet potion. It kind of tastes like shit. So you could add like some sugar or something else sweet to it, to help offset that fermentation. But I don't know how deep we want to get with that. If we want to go like moldy or infested or something, but it's worth exploring, especially like some enchanted version, like some rare way to alter it and that isn't done inside of your hut, for instance, because you can boil it, you can dry it, you can ferment it in your hut and everything, but maybe there are ways externally in the open world that you can modify the state of that ingredient that you can't do in your hut. I mean, I could see that being quite interesting. And that way you actually have to plan, like, okay, I'm gonna go out this morning, gather some ingredients, but I'm also gonna bring some ingredients that I want to use on this altar or place in this magical area to make them something different. I don't know if I still have it. I don't think I have it on this computer. But yeah, like there are ways to. I think how it changes effects is going to be mainly up to balance. So, drying it will do something that I need it to do, and that way I can balance around how the potions can be made, so that there's nothing too OP, nothing too grindy. But the flavor, I think we can make rather open-ended, and we can base that more on reality, because obviously, you know, you don't have plants out in the wild that you eat and become invisible or something, right? So we can do whatever we want with that. We have full creative liberty there. Somewhat creative liberty. We're not gonna like make, hey, look at this delicious apple that's completely normal, but also it is full of poison and shit. So it just, because that is not nearly as believable. But for flavor, we can go a bit more realistic and say, okay, this is a plant, so it probably tastes like this, and if you dry it, it's going to probably taste like this. I mean, we can even get, because we can use AI for some of this too, and we can kind of have fun with it. Let me open up a new chat here. Pull it back. I'm gonna say, okay, I have an alchemy game where ingredients each have flavors. These flavor profiles comprise of three flavor types. I'm trying to explain like how I do the scale. Like, I don't know how to explain it. There's three flavor types. Sweetness, sourness, and bitterness. Each flavor type is a scale between 0 and 1. 0 in the case of sweetness means that the flavor has no sweetness at all. Well, now I'm contradicting myself. 0.5 is neutral sweetness, so 0 is not no. We're gonna explain. We're just gonna put it in. We're gonna let it go. Again, this is the first day of concepting this. I want the alchemy to be amazing in this game. We're just gonna spend our time. We're gonna make it good. Neutral sweetness and 1.0. I know that's gonna be it. One is extremely same system, the same system goes for the other two flavor types. Each ingredient can be altered and have its state altered. You might have herb, an herb like mint, and it can be dried. Something else. It can be dried. Let's just tell it to be dried, fermented, boiled, etc. to change its flavor. So while in its normal state, it tastes one way. When its state is changed, the flavor will be different. should change in a believable way, though. So fermenting it won't make it sweeter, of course. Can you give me example values for mint in different states, and then give me examples? Give me 4 other example ingredients, their flavor profiles normally, and their flavor profiles once their state has changed. Now let's hope that it understands what I want. Usually it's pretty good about understanding what I want. Then it's zooming. I like that it's giving reasons too for it. Like the normal state of mint is 0.4, 0.2, 0.1 for sweetness, sourness, and bitterness. And when it's fermented, it loses some sweetness due to fermentation. It increases sourness as it ferments, and a slight increase in bitterness. Give me like lemon. 0.7 sweetness, 0.9 sourness, 0.1 bitterness. A grilled lemon. A grilled lemon. I like it. I like it. Roasting chocolate, drying chili. Fermented honey. I like it. I like it. And these are some cool ideas too, actually. I do like it. I think the values could be a bit better. Excuse me. I think the values could be a bit better, but I enjoy the... I like what it's going for. Balance is not great, but that's why we don't use AI for balancing. We use people. We use game designers who know balance. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, like just cooking something. Cool. You can even ask, like, what about some more natural ingredients that someone would find in the wilderness? And we can even tell, you can modify values more than just a little. It is a game, so we want there to be a moderate amount of difference between ingredients and their different states. You know, it's things like this that I really enjoy from AI. Especially when something goes wrong like that. During peak hours, sometimes it can hiccup. Okay, yeah, okay. It's doing it now more with the balance. It's actually, yeah, it's lowering that sweetness by quite a bit, increasing sourness with like fermented wild berries, sauteed mushrooms, dried wild garlic. Good stuff. Good stuff. I like it. Yeah, in general, I mean, that kind of goes towards that belief that we can do relatively what we want with effects, but with flavor, I want it to be a bit more let's put it this way: when the player when the player is working with an alchemy system, they don't have any prior knowledge of that system. They understand that they're going into it blind and fresh, and they have to learn these new things that didn't originally make sense. It's easier to accept something. It's easier to accept the system when you don't have anything prior to base it on. The thing with flavor is that people have knowledge, they have biases, they have understandings, they have neurons connecting in their brain that say, okay, if I'm eating an apple, it's going to taste this way. If I'm putting mint in my mouth, it's going to taste this way. They know what that tastes like. And so if you alter that expectation of flavor when they're playing the game, it doesn't make sense to them. It doesn't compute. They see something that is based on our world to some extent, right? It's a fantasy world, but it still follows certain rules and principles, and it's, like the same physics, right? And shit. If you alter that too much, they go into it and they reach this like level of confusion where, okay, this is an ingredient clearly inspired by this in real life, or it's named the same thing, and yet its flavor is completely different from real life. So when I'm thinking, okay, I need to make my potion sweeter, okay, let's grab some fruits, some apple. Okay, wait, apple is no sweetness, maximum bitterness. It's confusing. It doesn't make sense for them because they have that predisposition for how it should work. Or that, not predisposition, I mean, like they have this idea of how it's supposed to work based on their existing life. So that's why I want like the flavor to be more in tune with what's believable and realistic, or it doesn't stray too far away from what players are expecting. That's my thank you for coming to my TED Talk on that, on flavor. Okay, ingredient biomes, an array of biome types because there could be multiple plants grow in lots of different areas. And we want I think this would be better for like seeds, but I kind of like it like if you've I like that if you find the plant, it maybe tells you the how much sunniness it needs, how much sun it needs. And that way it can kind of inform you that, okay, you have found it in partial sun, in the shade, and therefore you can commit to knowledge, or you can look in your plant bestiary, whatever you call it, I don't know, plant. Is there a term for a bestiary but for plants? Is there a term but for plants? Compendium? Compendium, I guess. What is this Reddit post? What is this? Is that pronounced pharmacopoeia? Is that real? I think that's pronounced pharmacopoeia. I fucking love the name for that. Bookmark that too. That goes into the I still don't know how to pronounce this. Friday, we found this term for essentially nocturnal plants. This Nyctinisty. Like, I don't even know how to pronounce it. It doesn't tell me how to pronounce it. But it essentially means nocturnal, but for plants. So nocturnal is referring to animals. And this is the term for plants. And I still don't know how to pronounce it. But I want to use this. I want to use this term in my game somewhere because it is great. I love old, antiquated, barely used terms like this. I wouldn't say it's antiquated, but it is very underused. Weird plant people and their weird terms. So yeah, I don't know how to describe this. Like the sunlight, the plant preferred light amount. I need like a term for that. We're not gonna worry about humidity though. Because our games will have seasons. I think that we should include the seasons that it grows somewhere. Oh. Okay, let's call it ingredient light requirement. That's gonna have to be an array. Light requirement, and that'll be just an enum. It'll be an array of enums. Enumerators. Which, for those who don't know, is a fantastic thing that you should use as much as you reasonably can in Unreal and programming in general. Yes, it is a person or a thing that enumerates. I agree, but it is also it is represented by a single byte, if I'm not mistaken. So it can have up to it's 0 to 255. It is essentially just like a list, but it's a very memory friendly list. You can attribute plain text to the byte 0 to 255, and that's much better than like storing something as anything less optimal than that. Even an integer is less memory efficient than enum, because an integer can go up to a 32-bit signed integer. 32-bit integer limit is. Oh, there's one lower. There's the 16-bit, right? That's not right. Oh, it's because it's 2 times. It's the 32-bit is just twice that. The minimum value of 0, maximum of that. Of course, the regular integer can go between negative 2 million something but a byte limit is just either negative 128 to 127 inclusive or 0 to 255. So if you have things like the number of light requirements in our game is going to be like 3, either full sunlight, shade, or no sunlight. We can store that as an enum because we're only ever going to have 3 of them, maybe an extra or something for something crazy, but We only need 3 of these things. We don't need to make it like an integer or something, or store it as text, which is even worse from 3. Always think about what you need. Okay, ingredient light requirement. And we wanted season. Ingredient season. I don't know. Season growth works. And that will be an array of season enums. And we need that because if we're gonna have seasons and we have plants growing through seasons, so if it is, if it grows between spring and summer, or summer and fall and autumn, we can tell it to, once autumn hits, we can say, okay, every plant in the game, check. Are you allowed to remain alive now that it's autumn, or should you go kill yourself? And then we'll tell them to kill themselves, and they'll kill themselves. It'll be good. And then we put things in their place. We put new plants that can grow only in autumn or something. Okay, that's good. I think that's everything for the ingredient. Unless we want to put effects, flavor, and tags in there too, which I guess we should. My worry though with effects, because it depends on how we want to store effect. We want to store effect as ID and tier, so enum and integer, or the other way, I think, because my camera is not being flipped for you guys. Because if we're only allowed 256 items in an enum, and we have tiers of effects, and let's say we have 5 tiers of effects, well, now we've limited ourselves to only being able to essentially have 50 effects, which is probably enough. But if it isn't, and we need to update save games, no, I don't want to do that. So I think that while it's not nearly as robust, storing it as enum for base effect, integer for tier, will allow us to have 256 effects. And any number of tiers that we want, up to, into the millions. And I think that's pretty safe, because at a certain point, if we have too many effects, the game just isn't that fun. Like, you have to find niche ingredient to mix with niche ingredient to make a niche potion. And we want to have the commingling of effects. The smaller number of effects and the more effects that a plant or that an ingredient can have, the more that they commingle and the more that you actually have to strategize. Okay, I'm going to ferment this plant because it removes this effect. Or I'm not going to mix in this plant because it's not going to make the best potion that I can make. I spelled it wrong. Okay. I mean, if we look at like the ingredients for Elder Scrolls, I'm curious if there's a list of all of the effects that they can have. Wait. Yeah, how many are there? Because, I mean, this would give us a really good baseline value of, okay, we should have around this many effects. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Shit. Okay, it's around like 70, I think. Okay, let me just look it up. How many ingredients? Let's just say potion. How many potion effects are there in Skyrim? Doesn't tell me. AI. How many ingredient effects are there in Skyrim? That's 49. Can you list them all? The thing is, I have played it enough, I will know if it's lying. I will know if it's telling me something that isn't true. Yeah, that looks accurate. That looks accurate. Why did I say there was 70 then? Am I crazy? It looked like there were a lot more. Yeah, like there's cure poison. I mean, it could be that those are added by DLC. Possible. No, because Frenzy is base. Frenzy is base. Missing some. Well, either way, I think that the enum should provide us with more than enough, because we don't want to go over 100, in my opinion. Because then we run into that issue where it's just... You're just looking for niche things. There isn't much of experimentation to perform. Yeah, we're gonna finish up with this today, and then I want to go over the stream schedule before because I almost forgot that we are gonna have a schedule. I want to talk about when we're gonna have the Discord open, and some of the stream ideas, and we're gonna do that at the end here. I want to do that from shit, I don't know. Last half an hour, something. I know some people wanted to do some like marbles on stream. I don't know if we have enough viewers for that though. We only have 2 right now. You people. Takes time, you know, streaming takes time. You gotta build up that audience. But consistency is the key to building an audience. And stream quality, you know. You look at Tyler 1, he's got the shittiest microphone, and he has for ages. I think he still uses a shitty microphone. And he just, you know, it's just the personality that carries it, and consistency. So, that's what we will be doing. In worst case, I can just drop some slurs on stream and farm content from the backlash. I'm not big enough though. Nobody would care if I drop a slur. I'm not gonna do that though. Not gonna happen. Okay, season growth, and then let's do ingredient effects. Do I want to do... I could do either here. I could do an array of effects, or I could do a structure. I mean, I'm gonna have to nest a structure anyway. I just don't know if I should start with an array or a structure. They both kind of achieve the exact same thing. I guess the array would be easier to work with. Because otherwise I'd have to pull the structure. Let's just do an array. Let's do ingredient effects array. And then we will do a structure of effect. And then that will have a effect ID, which will be an enum, and an effect tier, which will be... Technically, we could do a byte. Can we do a bit? Does Unreal even support bits? I'm actually pretty curious if... Yeah, I'm just really curious if we can declare a bit. Okay. Fair enough, you can't declare a bit. It'd be kind of funny though if you could. Effect here, let's just do an integer. It's easier to work with, because otherwise if you have to... There's more native support for integer math in Unreal than byte math. And in this case, the negative impact on memory will be rather small. In my opinion. Okay, perfect. Okay, array of effects. They're structures which have the ID and the tier. Perfect. 256 max IDs, and then we can have... We're only gonna have tiers probably up to 5, but we might go up to 10, I don't know. Depends on how JRPG we want to get with this game. Similar thing with flavor, we're gonna do... No, because the thing is, for effects, we can have up to 4. We may not have 4, and that's why the array helps. But for flavor, we will always have those 3 aspects of flavor. So flavor probably should be a structure. And that will be... I was just gonna have like a structure with 3 integers, or float values, because they have to be float values because they're decimal. They don't have to be, but regardless, the issue is that if I do that, if the index changes at any time, we forget, or we make some mistake with the indexing that we're displaying to players with these flavors, or we want to switch, we want to have sweetness show before bitterness. it could look really weird in our code if we're calling index 1 before index 0. And that to me is just kind of like a... I don't like it. I don't like it. Picking chords though. Fuck you, chords. Let's do it for now. It's just a prototype anyway. It's all going to be discarded. That's another thing I could go over with chat is production phases. I've been considering that. We made a nice presentation for Microraptor about production phases and what they mean and what they're going to mean for us. And I think that would be a great thing to go over on stream and to upload for educational purposes. We'll consider it. Okay, ingredient flavor is not an array. It is just going to be sweetness, float. I like how I did F name up here in texture 2D, and then I just went down to enums and ins. Technically, it should be, I think it should be F enum. F enum. I don't know what that is. I don't like it. I don't like that I get a bicycle cheese and somebody doing that with their teeth. We have to be very careful what we're typing in here. Unreal enum. What do they call it? It's called enums? Don't say F. What about floats? Do they do F float? Any programmers in chat that can help me out with that? What do they call it? Float? I'm getting so off topic. It doesn't fucking matter. Every programmer knows what a float is. It doesn't need to be called what Unreal calls it. Idiot. Okay, float, perfect. Sweetness, bitterness, same thing. Float, sourness, same thing. Sourness. Float. Yeah. And then tags will be just an array of tags. Ingredient tags. Tag 1. And that will be, we can do enums for that. Easy. The great thing about working with enums is that they are, when you put in that list item, it's there. You can't, if you try to check two strings against each other, you might have made a spelling mistake. But when you set an enum in Unreal, it is set there. It is set as that bit mask. I believe it's called. So it's like it's always going to be safe. And even if you change the name, it's going to update it throughout the project because you're just changing what is masking that bit. That is what a bit mask is, right? Guys, I don't think that's what it is. I don't think that's what it is. Know what it is? I don't think that's what it is. Ignore the last minute of things I said. Okay, ingredient tags. We have tag. Yeah, tag. This is gonna be an array of tags. We're not gonna call them anything. Yeah. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Looks pretty good. I like that. We'll probably be adding like 5 other things to it because that's always what happens. We're not gonna call this new 3. Yeah, I regret making that decision on Friday. We don't need to save that. I think that's pretty good. And I think that this is a pretty good mock-up for us to get going with Unreal. This is pretty easy to make. It's just progress bars, vertical and horizontal panels. Container for tags, that should be pretty easy. Yeah. It looks good. And as before, we can go over this again, but you know, open world farming these are the ways that you obtain your ingredients, your animal monster parts or your flora. These go into your cauldron to combine and to make potion and food. And then you can use these potions in this food to, you know, you can use them yourself as a player. You can give them to NPCs for their requisitions, or you can sell them to NPCs, merchants, generally. To get buffs, obviously if you use them, or you can get rewards like gold or other ingredients if you use them for requisitions or for for merchants, selling them to merchants. Looks good. Let's go over the schedule, which I gotta pull up. Let me make sure I'm on the right Google account. Shit. I don't think I am on the right Google account. I am. Okay, I got a stream calendar here. We are here on day 23 of October. I just want to keep dev streaming all this week. We're just gonna mainline it like drugs right into our veins here. And the one difference is, well, there's two things. So I want to, like Halloween, like we got to do something, right? I don't know what, but we should do something for Halloween, something small. Maybe play a small like horror game or something, or just fool around. You know, take a bit of a break, right? I don't know what yet, so we can just kind of decide that this week. And then next month, I have to get that set up here. November 23. What date is November? Wednesday. How many days are there in November? 30? 31? 30? 30. Ends on Thursday. Yeah, we got it good. November next month. First Friday of November is a great date. It's somebody's birthday. November 2nd. Both For the King 2 and Talos Principle 2 come out. I want to play them both. This is a problem. This is not cool. I don't know what would be better to stream though, because I think they would both be pretty interesting. I mean, we can just play one after the other, right? But they're both relatively reasonably priced games, especially Talos Principle 2. I mean, They could charge double for this game. Okay, well, no, they could. Like, this is a really, I don't know, they just, hats off to Crow Team for this, and Devolver, because the pricing on this game is just incredible. If you're not aware of what that is, it's about $30 for Talos Principle 2, and this is a fully fledged, quite long puzzle game with very high production value. Very great game. $30. I like it. So really, I could afford both if I want. We'll see. But we'll have to find one to start with, and I think we'll do. Just depends on the release time, because if they don't. Just depends, because if one comes out like in the morning, great, I can play it on stream that day. If it doesn't come out, then no. Maybe somebody's asked when the release time is. Doesn't say. What about Talos Principle? I mean, it probably says in like their Discord. I just don't want to deal with that right now. No, not on stream. Yeah, Unreal Ugly Engine. That's not true at all. Game looks good. I was able to play. I played the demo at home on my new computer, and you know, so I could max out the settings. Ooh, looks good. Account's not allowed to post because I don't actually own any games on this account. I just share games with this account. But it's the official account that I'm going to use for posting the games that we make, so. I'm going to I have to switch my, hold on. I got to switch over to just chatting. I don't do that when I should. Cool. Right. Well, let's set Friday, because then we can just play Friday. We don't have to worry. We can do whatever the hell. Friday we will do this game. This computer will handle For the King better. Let's do that. And we will. I'm gonna get pretty addicted to that game probably, if it's good. The first one is good. And then we can go back to dev stream, or we can do Talos Principle after that. Because I make time to play new games. And if any of this changes that week, we'll just modify it. Don't care. We'll set aside 3 days for each. It'll probably take us into the next week because that's just how I am. I know it. But dev streams can go. We don't know what we're going to do for Halloween, but then we'll do dev stream 8 and 9 here. Okay. Looks good. And like I mentioned before, we might do some streams on weekends, but I generally want to keep the weekends free. I'm not going to enjoy development if I get burnt out, so I'm not going to push myself on the weekends for that. I don't really care how long this game takes to make, I just want to make it properly. Yeah, that looks good. And as for the Discord, it is ready to go. It is ready to be opened. I just want to I want to do a couple of checks with it and just do a once over, take like an hour and just do a once over all the channels, all the roles, everything, all the permissions. Make sure there aren't any major holes or problems, and then we can push it live. Maybe at the end of the week. Yeah, I think that about covers it for today. Get rid of that. We don't need that. Yeah, it was just something short stream. We didn't do too much, but you know, I like to take my time with planning. And I think we have enough now that we could just jump into prototyping it. At least getting the data in and anything else that I need. We can just kind of take it one step at a time. Like the alchemy is really the core of this game, and if we try to rush into maybe some of the more visually exciting things, like building an environment or something, that none of it means anything unless we have this alchemy system, because that is the core of this experience. So we need to do it properly. We need to take our time. Then we can jump into the more visually pleasing things. But these prototypes, they don't have to be super professional. They just need to convey the right feelings, the right actions, so that somebody looking at it like a publisher or a playtester can be like, okay, I get what you're going for. I can see how A leads to B. And either it's a fun idea or it's not, and we have to find something else. But we just have to iterate, and scrap anything that doesn't work. Like maybe the flavor stuff just doesn't fit. Maybe it's not a great idea. Get rid of it. Primarily because I also think that the narrative aspects of this game are actually really core as well. And we need to... Our vertical slice is going to be very heavily focused on just a small slice of the open world, enough to understand what it's going to be. So like just smaller example biomes, a couple of secrets, some different ingredients, but the main core of it is you're going to be going back to your hut, putting the ingredients together, doing what you need, changing their state, drying them, whatever, and then actually making the potion and giving it to that to the NPCs, learning about them and then the lore and actually interacting with them. That's the plan. All right, well, I gotta go because I want to get back home and I have a call at 7. Pretty important call, so I need to actually prepare for that and to get something to drink and a little bit of energy. I'm glad to see our chat is working as well. I put a chat overlay on and it's working great, so that's cool. But yeah, thank you everyone for showing up. If you are watching the YouTube of this, please subscribe and like the video. If you are watching this on Twitch right now and you haven't followed, please follow us. It means a lot. It gets us closer to being an affiliate or being a YouTube partner, and we can just grow from there. And the more people that know about this, they can help partake in the building of this game. We're starting from nothing, and we're just going to build one thing at a time until we have it finished. So yeah, thank you for showing up. Sorry that the stream wasn't any longer. I had some stuff to do at lunchtime, and then I got here a bit late, and I got a friend who is leaving the country at the end of the week, so you can use in the Twitch chat !YouTube. Please do that to test it, because I hope it works, and it should give you a link to our YouTube channel if I set it up correctly, which I think I have. I think there was something weird with the naming of the channel. I think there still is. Kind of hope they change it, but if not, I'll just contact YouTube support. Yep. Our YouTube at Microraptor Games. And I'm putting all of our dev streams up there, so the moment that we stop streaming, I'll post this on YouTube, and we'll get going. My portfolio can be viewed here. I like our logo. I wish it was a little bit better for symmetrical or circular purposes. But it's fine. It is what it is. We can always get an alternate version. We'll keep this one copyrighted, and we'll make some variant of it. It should be fine. Yeah, I have not watched even our first. I want to watch it just so I can see what the quality is like, if I need to up the bitrate or if I need to lower the resolution and then up the bitrate. Yes, if audio is okay. So far, I think audio is okay. You guys should just barely hear the music. And I think it's capturing it. I don't know. I think it's okay. It was a pain to get this all set up, though. The 2 PC stream setup is really weird. But it is working. And it's great not having to have any of the workload on this computer. I don't have to worry. Am I going to open up Unreal and then it's going to lag the stream and then I'm going to drop frames? That's nice. Yeah, first stream I think was too loud. It was good in my ear, but it was too loud on stream or on the recording. Still a little loud, but it's okay. I can always adjust this too, but I think actually the mic is pretty good. I always worry about the mic. The audio shit, I don't know how to do. I can do everything in OBS pretty well, but audio is still, I'm just crap shooting. But I mean, having a good studio mic with a pop filter, just good filters on it like I do, it can keep out a lot of that background audio. Okay, so let me go. I will see you guys tomorrow for next dev stream, where we will, I think we can probably just jump into Engine. And start to get some of this made. we need to define we just need to start with the basics. We need to analyze and say, okay, what is working good here? How does the player get things and put things into the cauldron? How do we get from A to B? B being a completed potion, A being empty cauldron. But do we fill up the cauldron? How do we do that? Do we grab it? Do we, things like that. A lot to figure out for the first time. We can just start with the basics. Okay, thank you guys. Take care. Have a nice evening or day, whatever it is for you. And I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.